Iowa, Michigan State, 7 o'clock East. Michigan State's minus 6.5. Totals 134. And we cashed in on 5 more winning tickets on my premium page yesterday on Monday. Of course, both schools in this matchup are 7-0 on the year, but it's actually the underdog Iowa Hawkeyes who covered the point spread in all of their victories this year except for one. It's a team who's one of the best shooting schools in the nation. The Hawkeyes currently rank 8th in offensive field goal percentage. They're actually making nearly 54% of their attempts from the field. Bennett Sturts leads the program in points per game, 45% from beyond the arc. Fulgaris, Banks, and Koch, they're all shooting over 47% from three-land as well. And they're facing a Spartans team who failed to cover against Detroit, San Jose State, and Colgate. Now, total-wise, Iowa games have gone 5-2 to the over this season. We're talking about overs against the likes of Ole Miss, Xavier, and Illinois. Give me Iowa plus 6.5 over 134. Next matchup, Virginia Tech taking on South Carolina. That's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern start. Let's see if it's on the big screen. There it is. South Carolina's minus 1.5. Total is 150 and a hook. And the Gamecocks are 5-2 on the year, doing some good things on the defensive end of the floor. South Carolina is limiting opposing schools to just 42% shooting from the field. They actually rank 6th in the entire country and fewest three-pointers allowed. And they're taking on a Virginia Tech squad who lost their last 2 straight. Those were losses to the likes of Virginia Commonwealth and St. Mary's College. And even though this is a super short number, you just can't deny the fact that the Hokies failed to cover in their last 5 straight. Now, total-wise, the under did cash in 4 out of those 5 ball games I just mentioned. South Carolina with unders recently against Charleston Southern and Radford. Give me South Carolina minus 1.5, under 150 and a hook. All right, next game, Oklahoma taking on Wake Forest. That's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern start. Wake Forest is minus 5, and we're just checking real quick. That should be on there. It is. Wake Forest is minus 5. Totals 158.5. And even though the Deacs are 6-2 on the year, they did fail to cover the number in 2 out of their last 3. Those were failures to cover against the likes of Northeastern and Memphis. As far as the entire season's concerned, well, Wake Forest is covering in only 50% of their games. Now, they're taking on an Oklahoma squad who's done a lot of nice things on the offensive end of the floor. They're in the top 25 in points per game, averaging double-digit three-pointers per night. Nigel Pack's the team leader in scoring, 50% from three-land, still perfect from the foul line. Xavier Brown's averaging over 13.5 points per contest himself, 94% from the stripe. OU with overs against Oral Roberts, Nebraska, and St. Francis. Wake Forest games went 4-2 to the over in their last 6. I like the Sooners plus 5, over 158.5. All right, next matchup, Texas A&M taking on Pitt, 7 o'clock Eastern start. Texas A&M is minus 3.5. Total is 149 and a hook. The Aggies are 6-2 on the year, but they did fail to cover the point spread in 4 out of their last 6. Those were failures to cover against the likes of Mississippi Valley State and Montana during that stretch. A&M's also allowing over 75 points a game on D. Bottom 30 in the nation in defensive three-point percentage. They're taking on a Pitt team who's coming fresh off a nice win over Ohio State. They covered this year against the Buckeyes, Bucknell, and Youngstown State. Cameron Corrin leads the roster in points per game. Barry Dunning with double-digit points per contest, 94% from the foul line. Panthers with overs against Quinnipiac and Eastern Michigan. A&M with overs in 3 out of their last 4. I like Pitt plus 3.5, over 149 and a hook. Next game, Tennessee, Syracuse, 7 o'clock Eastern start. Tennessee's minus 7.5. Total is 145 and a hook. And I'll tell you what, we're looking at 2 schools who've been exceptional on the defensive end of the floor. For the Vols, they're allowing just 65 points a game, top 20 in defensive field goal percentage. Meanwhile, Syracuse is holding opposing shooters to just 37% from the field, top 15 in the nation in blocks. Syracuse with unders in 4 out of their last 7. Tennessee with unders against Tennessee State and Mercer. And when it comes to selecting a winner in this one, we're going to let Brock Page Nation decide this game. This one's being featured as today's free poll on my premium page. You don't have to pay anything to vote on this game. All you got to do is go to the post section and on the premium site. Just go there and take a look. But as far as making a free pick is concerned, I like the under 145.5. All right, next game, Florida-Duke, 7:30 Eastern start. Duke's -7, totals 157. The Blue Devils are 8-0 on the year, 6-2 against the point spread in those victories. Meanwhile, the Gators on the other side, well, completely different story. Out of 7 total games for the Gators this year, they failed to cover in all of those contests except one. You know, this is a team who's had a tough time shooting the deep ball. You know, Florida's making only 27% of their attempts from beyond the arc. And they're going up against the toughest team in the nation to shoot the basketball against. Duke's currently first in defensive field goal percentage. And aside from allowing only 58 points a game, the Blue Devils rarely send shooters to the foul line. Duke ranks 12th in fewest free throws allowed. Blue Devils with unders in all of their contests except for one. Florida games went 5-2 to the under in their last 7 themselves. I like Duke -7, under 157. All right, next game, Purdue taking on Rutgers. That's going to be an 8 o'clock Eastern start. Purdue's -16, totals 146.5. The Boilermakers are 7-0 on the year, solid on the defensive end of the court. They don't send a whole lot of shooters to the foul line, and they're limiting opposing schools to just 39% shooting from the field. And they're facing a Rutgers squad who's not shooting the basketball well themselves. Rutgers ranks 306th in offensive field goal percentage. When it comes to the number, the Scarlet Knights failed to cover in 4 out of their last 7. Now, total-wise, both schools with unders in 4 out of their last 7 as well. I like Purdue -16, under 146.5. Washington State, Bradley, 8 o'clock East. Bradley's -8, totals 156.5. The Braves are just 4-4 on the season, 3-5 against the point spread. When it comes to guarding the deep ball, they're in the bottom 40 in defensive three-point percentage. They're facing a WAZZU team who's dropping nearly double-digit 3 balls a game, over 80 points per contest. Ace Class leads the program in points per game, 41% from three-land, 94% from the stripe. Nimeli Yalahu shoots 45% from downtown, 54% from the field. Cougars with overs against Arizona State and Southern Utah. Bradley with overs in 3 out of their last 4. Give me Washington State +8, over 156.5. All right, next game, UConn, Kansas, 9 o'clock East. UConn's -2.5, totals 141 and a hook. Both schools with 6 wins on this season, doing some good stuff on defense. The Huskies allowed just 61 points a game, top 3 in fewest field goals allowed. They're taking on a Kansas squad who's limiting opposing schools to just 37% shooting from the field, top 15 in the country in blocks. Kansas with unders in 5 out of their last 6. UConn games went 4-2 to the under in their last 6 themselves. When it comes to selecting a winner in this one, this game is being featured as today's chairman pick on my premium page. But as far as making a free play is concerned, I like the under 141.5. Miami, Ole Miss, 9 o'clock East. Ole Miss is -5, totals 145.5. And even though the Rebels are 5-2 on the year, they did fail to cover in all of those contests except one. They're facing a 6-2 Miami squad who's got a winning record against the point spread themselves, top 15 in field goals. Malik Reneau averages over 20.5 points per contest, 56% from the field. And Trey Donaldson's averaging 15 points a game himself. Of course, when it comes to the number, the Canes successfully covered in 5 out of their last 7. Miami with overs against Elon, Stetson, and Bethune-Cookman. Ole Miss with overs in all of their games this season except for one. I like Miami +5, over 145.5. Georgia, Florida State, 9 o'clock East. Georgia's 2.5, totals 172. And both schools doing a nice job on defense. Bulldogs are in the top 5 in turnovers, limiting opposing shooters to just 38% from the field. Meanwhile, Florida State's in the top 20 in defensive turnovers themselves, top 15 in steals. Noles with unders in their last 6 straight. Bulldogs with unders against Xavier, Florida A&M, and Maryland Eastern Shore. When it comes to a winner, this game's being featured as today's college basketball tier package play on the premium page. But as far as a free pick, I like the under 172. Next game, Missouri, Notre Dame, 9 o'clock Eastern start. Notre Dame's -1, totals 150.5. The Irish are 5-3 on the year. Missouri's 8-0. Tigers are averaging 93 points a game. Best field goal shooting team in the nation. Missouri's making nearly 56% of their field goals as a team. Mark Mitchell, team leader in scoring, 64% from the field. And Jacob Cruz is averaging double-digit points a game himself, 48% from outside the arc. And they're taking on a Notre Dame squad who lost 3 out of their last 5 themselves. Losses to the likes of Houston, Kansas, and Ohio State went through a bit of a gauntlet there. Now, total-wise, Missouri games went 4-3 to the over in their last 7. Overs against the likes of South Carolina State, Prairie View, and VMI. I like Missouri -1.5, over 150 and a hook. Next game, UNC, Kentucky, 9:30 East. The Wildcats are -5. Total is 161. Of course, both squads incredibly tough to shoot the basketball against. Kentucky's allowing just 63 points a game, 7th in defensive field goal percentage. Meanwhile, the Tar Heels on the other side, they're limiting opposing programs to just 36% shooting from the field, top 40 in blocks. Tar Heels with unders in 5 out of their last 7. Kentucky with unders against Loyola, Maryland, Michigan State, and Nichols. When it comes to a winner, this is our extra daily pick. As far as a free play, I like the under 161. Utah, Cal, 10 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Cal's -7.5. Total is 153 and a hook. Cal's 6-1 on the year, 5-2 against the point spread. The Golden Bears average over 84 points a game, shooting nearly 50% from the field. Day-Day Ames averages 18 points a game, 52% from downtown. Chris Bell averages over 16.5 points per contest, 45% from outside the perimeter. They're facing a Utah team who's failed to cover in all of their games this season except for one. Definitely struggling on the defensive end of the floor. The Utes allow 78 points a game, bottom 40 in field goals allowed. Now, Utah contest went 7-1 to the over this year. Cal with overs in 3 out of their last 4. I like Cal -7.5, over 153 and a hook. And with that, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. USC, Oregon, 10 o'clock Eastern start. USC's -2, totals 156.5. The Trojans are 7-0 on the year, winning record against the point spread. And even though this is a super short number, the Oregon Ducks failed to cover in all 7 of their games this season. Still in search of their first successful cover of the year. And I'll tell you, they might not get it today because this is a Ducks team who's definitely had their issues offensively. They're shooting just 40% from the field, 30% from three-land. And they're facing a USC team who's actually in the top 5 in the nation in blocks. Definitely tough against the deep ball. The Trojans are holding their competition to just 27% from beyond the perimeter. Now, USC with unders against Boise, Illinois State, and Villanova. Oregon with unders against Creighton, Rice, and Hawaii. Give me USC -2, under 156.5. With that, folks, now it's time for our quick pick recap. I like George Washington -22, over 155. Tennessee Martin -5, under 150. Cashed in on 5 more games on my premium page yesterday on Monday. Stonehill plus 6.5 under 132. Penn State minus 12.5 over 154. Lehigh minus 3.5 under 143. South Alabama plus 2.5 under 135. East Tennessee State plus 12 over 141. Kennesaw State minus 12.5 over 159. George Mason minus 10 over 152. Rhode Island minus 12 under 137. Iowa plus 6.5 over 134. Providence minus 17 over 167. Butler minus 17.5 under 151. Georgia State plus 12 over 153. UNC Asheville minus 3.5 over 148. South Carolina minus 1.5 under 150 and a hook. Oklahoma Sooners plus 5 over 158.5. Pitt Panthers plus 3.5 over 149 and a hook. I like the under 145.5 in that Tennessee-Syracuse matchup. Maryland Eastern Shore plus 14 under 130. William and Mary plus 7.5 over 168. Jacksonville minus 10.5 over 138. North Florida plus 6.5 over 154. Long Island plus 7 over 155. Drake minus 18 under 138. Tulane minus 10.5 over 147. Duke minus 7 under 157. Houston Christian plus 13 under 129. Lindenwood plus 7.5 over 149. Sacramento State plus 30 over 158. Sam Houston plus 14.5 over 168. Purdue minus 16 under 146.5. Washington State plus 8 over 156 and a hook. Wagner plus 23.5 under 142. Valparaiso plus 18.5 under 148. Texas Arlington plus 4.5 over 152. Central Michigan plus 6.5 under 143. Murray State minus 16.5 over 158. I like the under 141.5 in that UConn-Kansas game. Creighton minus 18.5 over 142. Abilene Christian plus 1.5 under 137. Miami Hurricanes plus 5 over 145.5. Give me the under 172 in that Georgia-Florida State matchup. Missouri minus 1.5 over 150 and a hook. Grand Canyon minus 23 under 144. I like the under 161 in that North Carolina-Kentucky game. Cal Golden Bears minus 7.5 over 153 and a hook. UC San Diego plus 5 over 151. USC minus 2 under 156.5. Give me Loyola Marymount plus 7 over 145. And with that, folks, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my premium page. And just a friendly reminder, if you do end up getting a membership here today on my premium site, you're going to get access to that package every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships during that time frame, absolutely free. Going to be included with your membership. But most importantly, folks, got to thank you for joining me right here on the free video. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that, happy Tuesday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my premium page.